Hi, folks. This is Dr. Rob Sivers here, the Carb Addiction Doc. And today's topic is going to be a little artificial, but it's so important to addiction management. And the topic of today's talk is why fat people should never drink calories. One of the critical things that I do in my office as I'm treating obesity and treating diabetes and the other inflammatory metabolic diseases from an addiction perspective is to get away from eating for the emotional value and to get back to eating for the nutritional value. And really, addiction management is very binary because otherwise we addicts are so good at exploiting the gray zone. So one of the things I'd like people to understand as they return to nutritional eating is eat for your meals, eat for your food, and drink for hydration, separating those two out. Nothing good comes out of drinking your calories. First of all, broccoli and steak is very, very difficult to turn into a smoothie. So almost all of the caloric drinks are high in carbohydrates, in fructose, glucose, or galactose. And you're drinking them, so there is no stopping point. It's just running straight through your intestine, and there is no gastric distension that mediates fullness. You eat a big steak, that in part, satiety comes from stretching the stomach that sends a signal to your brain that says you're full. Well, if you're drinking smoothies all day long, there is no gastric distension. It just runs straight through you. The absorption is right away there. And even if you create a smoothie out of vegetables that in their intact form cannot be absorbed because the human body has lost its ability to break down those vegetables. If you pre-process them by fermenting them or by juicing them, you've now made that locked-in sugar that you're going to poop out anyway biologically available. So smoothies are a terrible way to eat. It's actually not eating, it's drinking. But the other part is that it's very, very easy to walk around with a can of something or something to drink. And if you're sipping on that throughout the day, there's no ebb and flow. I use my carb addiction mug over here. I use this as a mind cleansing moment, but this is black coffee. And it helps me to deal with that emotional need, but it is free of calories. So that right there is a little bit of hydration. It's a bridge. It's something I've consumed to help me to manage my emotional needs, but there is no caloric harm from that. And I can segregate that completely. The only calories that I'll ever drink is occasionally some wine or alcohol and occasionally some heavy cream or milk, whole milk, rarely now in my coffee. But other than that, never drink your calories. Never drink your calories because there's just too much fudge factor. Eat for nutrition, drink for hydration, drink as a mind cleansing moment, but don't drink your calories. I know it sounds somewhat artificial, it sounds arbitrary, but if calories run through a fork, they're not okay for a recovering fat person or a recovering diabetic to consume. And if you disagree, if you don't follow that advice, when you do fall off the wagon, have that aha moment. At least I'm planting that seed. You may ignore this guidance, this advice that comes from 20 years in the trenches, and that's fine. But when you do crash and burn, hopefully this message that you laughed at will resonate with you and you'll say, aha, I now understand what he said. And the next time when you get back on track, maybe that's something you can do, or you can maybe start to implement that now. Nobody needs to drink their calories as long as they're not a baby on the breast.